Hey everybody, you're watching LaMay Limelight, and we have a question. How do you manage your money?
Or how you make some money moves?
We gonna find out right now. Welcome everybody, this is LaMay Limelight. I am your girl, Sharíck LaMay, and we have
j.Pin.
You already know what it is. And today we are talking about something that we all like to talk about.
Money.
Money, money, money.
Money.
More money, more problems, more money, more blessings.
Money bag, money bag, money bag.
All of that.
Is that how the song goes?
Money bag, money bag.
I think so.
I don't know.
Whatever.
But how do you handle your money? How do you, as a creative, what do you do specifically?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Honestly, I mean, you know what? As a creative, it can get tough because, at least in my world, in the PR world, sometimes you don't know when you're getting your money. I mean, you have a date and time where your client should pay you and stuff, and I've experienced some of that, like, hey, you're late. Where's my money? I gotta feed myself. Right. So, you know, I just do my best. You just manage your life. I'm still learning. That's why we have this show.
That's why we have the show, and that's why we're gonna talk to somebody who is great with money moves, personal friend of both of ours. But for me, I think I'm okay with managing my money. I definitely think, and we spoke about this on many occasions, our generation as a whole, we suffer a lot due to the mistakes of our parents.
Yep.
And the
government. Gen Xers, man, they really messed us up.
The baby boomers. My parents are baby boomers.
Oh.
You got a young mama?
Yeah, my mama a little young.
But you know, they may not have passed over certain tools to us, specifically us being creatives. They, you know, mostly people wanted to do their 9 to 5, and that was it. But for us being creatives, we have to have more of an entrepreneurial mind frame and apply that to our everyday living. So it's very difficult, but I think as long as you are saving and you're not getting too far into debt, which is easier said than done.
Especially for millennials.
Exactly. We have some facts in that regard. It says that we are 10 times more likely as millennials to consider borrowing money through peer-to-peer lenders as opposed to the Gen Xers, such as your parent. Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you borrow money a lot?
No, I don't. But I mean, I do see that because we also have the resources to do it in our age, in the digital age. You know, you have crowdfunding and things like that we've created spaces that, you know, if you have a really cool idea and, you know, your peers want to support, but it's almost like it's almost too easy to support someone. So I think it's a positive thing, you know, because if you have an idea and somebody believes in you and they'll willing to give you to fund it, like that's dope. Right. Yeah.
So another thing that I saw was that it says workers between the age of 25 and 34 earn lower average salaries than the baby boomers at the same time. So whereas our average is 40,000, theirs is 50,000.
Oh.
You know, so ouch. That hurts. It's a $10,000 a year difference. Yeah. They got money.
Do they?
But do we?
I sure do.
Another thing that's really interesting too is, I mean, we have social media, right? So I think there's a lot of flexing that happens on social media.
A lot of pressure to flex because social media has created what I like to call hashtag culture. You know, you've got hashtag goals, hashtag this, living my best life, which are all like, you know, it's fun stuff. But I think a lot of people, and I've seen this within my own circles, I'm like, let's not flex and give off the perception and idea that we're living beyond our means.
Thank you.
That's not being fiscally responsible. I don't believe that. And I think what ends up happening is that socially, people are affected in the sense that they feel like they need to present themselves in this certain way and these filters, whatnot, flossing like they've got it one way, when in all reality, you don't. Don't make me call you out, because baby, I got your tea.
But, you know, it's good to have this conversation.
I'm sorry. I felt petty just now.
No, that wasn't petty at all.
Oh, okay.
That was real, because I mean, we do have those pressures. You got to have a certain car. You have to be rocking certain shoes. I'm the queen of sales. If it's not on sales, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to buy it. Right. But I'm going to rock it and it's going to look fly. And you can do that. Yeah. Whether it's last season, you know, Givenchy or whatever that is, that me personally, that doesn't bother me, but that's just me. I think what people need to do is figure out what works for them.
Yes.
I know I have certain things I like to splurge on and then certain things that I don't, but really finding the balance and then not getting caught up in the pressures.
And don't hold yourself up to other people's expectations, but your own. Your life is your life, and it's as beautiful as it is where you're at. And as long as you're continuing to work to what you want, that's all that matters. That flossing is too extra, and I ain't got time.
We don't have time.
No.
But I'm excited to talk to our next guest.
Yes.
She's super dope.
She's super dope.
She's a very good friend of ours.
She's the owner of this studio.
She is. And coincidentally, her name is Lucrative.
Lucrative.
So
with an F.
So she must know how to make money moves.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to talk to her right now.
So today we have photographer, entrepreneur, badass, and owner of this very studio, Miss Christiana Lucratif.
Yay! Woo! Thank you for being here, even though this is your place.
Thank you for having me here.
For housing us.
I come here frequently.
But okay, so this is a much needed episode because we are all creatives, and I've been watching your movement for quite some time, and I'm very inspired by how you make your money moves and how you own your business and you do things. So how did you decide that you wanted to become an entrepreneur? Was that in your vocabulary?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of always in me from very small. I was that kid in the school that was like selling candy. That was me. I was like saving my allowance to like go buy candy at the store without my mom knowing. I would like ride my bike to the store on the low, buy the candy, flip it,
come on, flip.
Let me find out.
Okay.
You know, and I'm like 6. So it was always kind of in me to like be my own boss, and it was definitely a long road though. It didn't just like happen overnight.
Dope. So why not just be a photographer? I mean, a lot of people do photography, and that's a pretty good business. But I mean, you have your own studio. It has 2 sides instead of 1, and you've pretty much turned this into its own like community. So why did you just not stop at photography?
I guess that's kind of just like the spirit of being an entrepreneur. You always want to do more and do new things. I also just wanted to have a space like. Being a creative, we can like meet people everywhere. We're all flexible. Let's go to Starbucks or whatever coffee shop or restaurant and or have drinks and have a business meeting, and we get that, and it's a little comfortable, and also just wanted to have like a more professional atmosphere for myself. And then I was like, well, LA is LA, and we have to like pay $5 million in bills every month, and rent is like 3.5, and so you have to. I wanted to have a space. I needed to make it make sense money wise.
So what would you say was one of your key steps that made you profitable?
It definitely took a while, although I will say that compared to other businesses, probably not that long. I mean, statistically, we probably should have gone out of business a couple times, but we hung on. It's always ups and downs. You got to be able to like just keep on going. I think one of the key steps was just involving all of networks and other people's networks and getting the creative community involved in like doing events here, and having people come back over and over again, because if you have a small business, you might not have $5,000 a month to do marketing, right? Marketing can be very expensive, so you have to look for ways to be able to draw people in and keep them with you, and the more return customers you have, the less money you're spending, the more profits you can make.
Do you pay attention to other creatives and maybe think about some of the common mistakes that they make with their finances?
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily think about it in that sense. But
what am I doing wrong, Chris?
Like, you're wrong. You shouldn't have done that.
I would say like a lot of creative people are really great at what they do creatively, and they don't necessarily always have that business sense, which is why a lot of creative people have problems getting off the ground by themselves. But I would say a lot of the mistakes that creative people make are being very impulsive with their money, because as creatives, we are very impulsive people. We like to be on a whim and be spontaneous, and I might wake up and change my whole day, right? You never know what's gonna happen. So on that, I would just say that's one of the most common mistakes that I see, is that people aren't really thinking about the long term. They're thinking that I can just do whatever I want now, and this thing that I'm doing creatively is about to take off, and once it does, I'm gonna have all the money that I need, and I'm not gonna need to worry about saving any money right now.
Okay, so me, I think as an entrepreneur, I feel as though I try to spend a lot of my money into my business, but then for me, it's kind of hard to say, okay, well, maybe you should spend this amount, or maybe this amount isn't necessary. Maybe you don't need that camera right now. Maybe you could do without. What do you say to people who are more like in that mind frame? Do you think there's a limit, or how should you gauge it?
Well, I would say, as far as like investing into your business, is like the money that you have coming in on a regular basis. You definitely want to, be investing in your business before you're going out to the club and spending $100 on drinks, or going to dinner and you order drinks with your dinner and all that kind of stuff. So if there's something that you're like itching to get, a new piece of gear, then maybe you should like sit at home for a couple weeks. And if you're one of those people that can do that and you're still finding that there's some other little, it's still difficult, then you need to start looking into, other sources of income. How can you make the money faster to get the stuff that you need? If you're, fashion designer, getting all the fabric and the manufacturing done, it can be very expensive. Pretty much every creative, whether you're into music, art, fashion, photography, film, don't let it be something that has gear like photo, film, music. Like, that's crazy. And so, and we live in a very expensive city, so you have to obviously be able to budget your money, and it takes a lot of, self-discipline and day-to-day habits, and just knowing where you're at and knowing your income and doing your budget every month and saying, this is how much my rent, phone, food, I know I'm gonna go out. Because don't be one of those people that's like, well, I'm not gonna go out at all this month, and I'm not gonna eat out at all, and if I do that, then I'll be fine. And then halfway through the month, you're broke because you've been going out. You know what I mean? Like, you have
unexpected bill,
because you do get bored.
You're not gonna stay home 100% of the time. You're gonna end up being out working or something for 10 hours, and you're gonna have to pick up something to eat. Otherwise, you're gonna be starving. And that's not gonna be good. So you got to get something to eat, right? So the thing is just making the right decisions, like, and trying to prepare for that. Maybe you can meal prep a little bit. Maybe you can, like, go out, but like not drink too much. Maybe have a drink at home before you go, or just don't drink at all. Whatever the case may be, but just know that
a wedding.
When you're doing, I would suggest for like creative people, you should put. And just for anyone, you should always have that little bit of budget that's for you, because if you don't put a little bit on you, then you're gonna go crazy. You have to be able to have fun and relax and like have that part of life. It's really important. But in the sense of like making sure that you can afford like your own gear and all that kind of stuff, you can look into other programs. There's a lot of like lease to own programs. There's a lot of like cheap rental stuff where it's like ShareGrid is really good for like quick day-to-day camera rentals and stuff like that, instead of like going to Sammy's and paying the full amount in the deposit and putting it on your credit card. Because if you had the $3,500, why would you need to rent it?
That's true.
So there's a lot of like other resources. I would say,
and across all fields.
This is like any field.
Anything. Like if you want to be a host, there's like classes you can find for free online.
Workshops, look on Eventbrite. Like there's so many ways to educate yourself now that it's like there's not really any excuses other than like lack of effort. So one of my favorite quotes is, it's not your resources, it's your resourcefulness. And definitely over the last almost 8 years, I've had to be very resourceful.
Good.
In a lot of ways.
And it shows.
You gotta be able to do that.
Dope.
So do you charge tax?
Do I charge like my clients tax? Well, no, because the way I set up my prices, I'm already budgeting for that. So I'm already like taking into account the processing fees for the credit card or the Venmo or the PayPal or whatever way they're paying. And then I'm already thinking about the overhead as far as lights, the AC is going to be on, right? Your staff that you have to pay. So all of those things are going to be factored in to the cost already. That's just the way I like to do it, because people hate to pay tax, and if it's already in there, then they feel like
that's smart.
They're getting a great deal, and it's always important to make people feel, and not like like in a cheesy way, but you want to have people feel good about what they're doing when they're doing business with you.
Right.
And you know, if they're like, oh my gosh, like I thought it was gonna be $40 and then it was like $50 an hour because of tax, and then they charge extra when you turn the AC on, and then I asked them for an extension cord and it was $2 extra. And
so then my question is, how do you decide what your rate will be? Because I think that's another thing a lot of creatives have a hard time figuring out. Like, okay, is this lowballing myself? Is this too much? Like, where do you, or do you just, does it depend on the particular customer? Is there a sliding scale?
So for just, that's like 4 things. So let me think about that. First of all, I would say that when you're setting up your cost structure, you definitely don't want to lowball yourself. A lot of freelancers and creative people are afraid to lose a job, and so they'll take the $50 or the $100, knowing that you should be paid $300 or $400 or $500 for that service, right? And knowing that's what you need to be paid. But one way you can kind of develop that is you have to backtrack. So the first thing you need to do is itemize every single expense that you have, and you need to pad it for savings and tax and expenditures, repairs, car breakdowns, drinks, lunches, getting thank you gifts for your clients, whatever. So budgeting that all together, what is that total amount per month? What does that break down per week? How often are you working? Do you work once a week, twice a week? How many projects are you taking per month? And divide that number by that. And then that's what you should be getting paid per project.
Got it.
If not, a little bit more.
Right.
Because, you know,
to have a buffer.
We need a buffer.
Yeah.
We need to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Come on, okay.
For real.
For real,
yeah. So that would be how you should, as a creative person, develop where your rates need to be.
Okay, because I think that's
pretty much any field.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially when you're creative, because you love what you do.
Yeah. And I will say there are exceptions to the rule. Like, there's definitely been times where I've bent the rates or done a job for a lot less than I would normally charge for a lot of reasons. The 2 other things that I would just mention on there, you want to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, is it on brand? And 2, is it on goals?
Hey.
And that's where you decide if you want to bend your budget. That would be like, if you can answer both of those questions, if it's on brand and it's like perfect for what you're doing, like, you know, you're going to interview whatever celebrity and maybe you're not going to get paid for it, and maybe you have to drive 2 hours to get there, and you got to then make sure that your camera and this and that and everybody's taken care of, and that might be on you, but you have this opportunity to go take advantage of that, and that's totally on brand and on goal. So then it's worth it for you to...
It's an investment.
Yeah. Then you're investing in yourself. Maybe it's challenging for you. Maybe it's something that you want to do that you haven't done before, and it's like a creative project where you can expand your skill set. You know, those are things that you have to take in consideration that might be worth, like, okay, instead of the 500, I'll take 3, or, you know.
That's good. You got my brain working right now. But we want to have a little bit of fun with you.
Yes.
Because you know it's Thursday.
And we do Throwback
And we do Throwback Thursday on Thursday.
Oh, shoot.
So, our lovely producer, we just want to ask you some questions about these throwbacks. Tell us about this one. You was making money
you know,
with the phone.
You know, with my cell phone.
With the little antenna. Bruh, that's...
You know, because I was in school. I was in school, so I had the antenna up to get the reception.
Got to get the good reception.
Yeah.
When you was making money moves.
I think I was actually like 15.
Okay.
15, maybe. I think I might have been 16 in that picture.
Okay.
Yeah, that was when I was 16, because I was at the bad kid school. And I'm on my cell phone in the classroom. What was I doing?
Making money moves. You had to be. All right. And then we have one more, because you know they...
Don't tell nobody. Is this going to be on the thing?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, so we got lucrative. So branding.
Yeah.
Branding.
I was on brand.
Was that, how long ago was that picture?
That was in 2009.
Okay.
10 years.
10 years ago.
That was about 10 years.
It is 10 years.
And I was...
And she looked just the same.
And I was doing a photo shoot for my clothing brand that I had at the time.
Okay.
And I was in the bathroom at the Nielsen building, and I was using their parking lot to do the photo shoot. They didn't even know.
Had to make it work.
That's how
you know, because I like the scenery and everything. Yeah. So
then why lucrative? Like, why was that the name that you chose? And it's so fitting for the topic.
Because, you know, it started with the clothing brand and the idea of like creating something. like slogan or whatever for the brand was making something out of nothing. And I just found that that was like fitting for me. You know, definitely don't come from any kind of silver spoon at all. I've been homeless, I've been everything in between. So I definitely wanted to create something that had just like a positive energy, very motivating, and very like, you know, you can do anything that you put your mind to, and just like, you know, go out and do that. And and being lucrative is just like all aspects of life, not just necessarily money, life, happiness, love, you know, energy, your health, your mind, all that stuff is all like all one thing, right? We can't be completely fulfilled and happy if, you know, your career's taking off but your relationships aren't good, or your money's good but your weight is terrible and you're out of health and you're like just all bad, you're all suffering. So like you don't want to be on medication and be rich but you can't walk. You know what I mean? Like,
it ain't going right.
It's not good.
Finding the balance.
Getting abundance in all aspects of life.
Dope. Well, we want to thank you for everything.
Love this conversation.
The gyms, the studio. We love it. Make sure you guys are checking out Opulen Studios, as well as the Good League, which is her foundation, giving back to the homeless and people in need. So make sure you
very
check that
important.
out.
I'll definitely just say before I go, the one key to being successful is definitely giving back.
Giving back.
Yeah, time, energy, money. You can volunteer. Yeah,
chips and guac.
You can volunteer. You can donate your old clothing. You can do a lot of things to give back, and it feels great and it makes a difference. And you know, what goes around comes around. It's definitely going to help you out in the long run.
Definitely. Well, thank you for that. We love it. Make sure you're checking out the Good League. Check out Lucrative on Instagram. Where can they find you?
Lucrative1 on Instagram and Opulen Studios.
You know what it is. Thank you guys, and stay tuned. Make sure you're following myself, j.Pin, and the rest of the LaMay Day family. We love you. Mwah.